This marriage is transactional. Don't mistake it for love. We're only getting married because we both need something. After everything, we are going back to be strangers.
Brynn Calloway learned that on a Tuesday, in a cold office that smelled like coffee and money. A pen was pushed across the table. A man named Jaxon Ashford watched her hand shake as she signed it. "You read it wrong," he said. "You keep thinking this is a wedding. It's a transaction." She didn't answer. She just signed her name on the paper twice. Once for herself and once for a mother who didn't know yet. 3 months earlier, Brynn's mother had borrowed money from the wrong people. Not a bank. Not a friend. A name that made grown men go quiet in restaurants. The debt grew every week like something alive. Brynn worked 2 jobs. She sold her laptop. She sold her mother's wedding ring. None of it was enough. Then a stranger found her outside her college library and handed her a card. No name. Just a number and 3 words. "We can help." That's how she ended up in Jaxon Ashford's office. Signing a contract she didn't understand. Becoming a bride she never agreed to be. "Why me?" she had asked. "Wrong question," Jaxon said. "The right question is why you said yes." She said yes because her mother was still breathing. That was the whole answer. "The woman who walks through that door has to look the part," Jaxon said, not looking up from his phone. "Not like this." Brynn looked down at her jacket. It was the nicest thing she owned. "So you're canceling the deal?" "No. I'm upgrading you. We're going shopping. Today. My father is traveling soon. He needs to meet you before he leaves." "So now you're talking to me too? I thought I was just furniture in this contract." "I'm not talking to you," Jaxon said. "I'm investing. Same as everything else here." That sentence stayed in her chest like a splinter. Investing. Not caring. Not curious. Investing like she was a stock that needed better packaging. In the dressing room, she stared at herself in a $5,000 dress and felt smaller than she'd ever felt in second-hand clothes. God, she thought, *you watch fathers protect their daughters. Mine just disappeared. And now you're letting me be sold to a man who can't even look at me like I'm a person. She didn't cry. She had stopped letting herself cry in front of mirrors that weren't hers. The Ashford estate had gates taller than her old apartment building. Brynn walked in wearing borrowed elegance and real fear. Desmond Ashford stood when she entered. That surprised her. Powerful men didn't usually stand for girls like her. "This is her, Clinton," he said. But he was looking at Brynn, not at his son. "She's beautiful. Composed. This one has substance." Brynn's stomach turned at the word "this one," like she was the 4th candidate in a line of others. "Sit, my daughter. Tell me about your family. Where are your people?" "I'm an orphan, sir," she said quietly. "No family left. I've been building my life alone." Something shifted in Desmond's face. Not pity. Something closer to recognition, like he'd heard that sentence before, from someone else a long time ago. "From today, you are never alone again," he said. "This house is your home now." She thanked him. She meant it and hated that she meant it. Then Desmond turned to his son, and his voice changed, sharper, final. "Jaxon, no more waiting. She has suffered alone long enough. The wedding is this weekend. I'm paying for everything." "This weekend?" Brynn's voice cracked. Nobody answered her. The decision had already been made, days before she ever walked through that gate. Only one person knew the truth. Skylar Monroe, Brynn's roommate since freshman year, the girl who used to split ramen with her at 2 a.m. and swear on her life she'd never tell a soul. "You're actually going through with it?" Skylar asked, sitting cross-legged on Brynn's bed while wedding dress swatches sat between them like evidence of a crime. "My mom's debt disappears if I do. Your life disappears too." "My life was already gone, Sky. This just gives it a nicer house." Skylar went quiet. Too quiet. Brynn didn't notice it then. She was too busy trying not to fall apart over a swatch of ivory silk. She should have noticed. Quiet, from Skylar, was never nothing. 2 nights before the wedding, Jaxon found Brynn on the estate's back terrace, staring at nothing. "You don't have to pretend to be happy in front of me," he said. I already know this isn't real. Then why does it feel like the only real thing in my life right now? He didn't have an answer for that. For the first time since she'd met him, Jaxon Ashford looked like he didn't know what to say. My father, he started, then stopped. What about him? Nothing. Get some sleep. Big day. He walked away before she could ask the question that had been building in her for weeks. Why does a billionaire's son need a contract wife at all? Every answer she got only opened a bigger question behind it. Why the rush? Why her, specifically, out of every desperate girl in the city? Why did Desmond Ashford look at her like he already knew her? She didn't sleep that night. She just listened to the house breathe around her, waiting. The morning of the wedding, Brynn's phone would not stop buzzing. Her name was in the headline. Her mother's debt. The number. The contract. Details only one person could have known. She called Skylar. No answer. She called again. This time it picked up. I needed the money, Brynn, Skylar said, voice shaking but not sorry enough. A tabloid offered me 40 grand for the story. 40 grand. Do you know what that means for someone like me? I trusted you with the only secret that could destroy me. I know. I'm sorry. I didn't think it would blow up like this. Brynn hung up. She sat on the floor of a guest room in a house that wasn't hers, in a dress that wasn't paid for by her, betrayed by the one person who had never asked her to be anyone but herself. The house downstairs had gone silent. Reporters were already outside the gate. Brynn didn't scream. She didn't cry either. She sat very still on the edge of the bed, hands folded in her lap, and looked at the wedding dress hanging on the door like a stranger watching her own funeral. There was a knock. She didn't answer. The door opened anyway. Jaxon stood there, phone in his hand, the headline already open on the screen. He didn't say anything for a long moment. He just sat down beside her. Not close. Not far. I know, he said finally. 2 words. Nothing else. She didn't ask how much he knew or since when. She didn't have the strength left. The silence between them said more than either of them could have said out loud. You can leave, Jaxon said. Right now. Out the back. I'll cancel everything. I'll clear your mother's debt anyway. No contract. No strings. You'll never see me again. Brynn looked at him. Really looked for the first time. Why would you do that? After everything I just cost your family. Because you didn't cost us anything. Skylar did. That's not the same thing. For 1 second, she believed she could just walk away. Start over somewhere the headlines couldn't follow her. But she thought of her mother, of the years of watching her mother apologize for a mistake that was never really hers either. She thought about a lifetime of running from debts she didn't create. I'm done hiding, Brynn said. If they want a headline, I'll give them one on my own terms. She stood up. She put on the dress herself, before anyone could offer to help. It was the first decision in 3 months that belonged entirely to her. And once she made it, there was no walking it back. The chapel was full of reporters pretending to be guests and guests pretending not to notice the reporters. Brynn walked down the aisle with her chin up, past whispers she could hear perfectly well. Asterisk bought bride. Contract girl. Desperate. Asterisk. Desmond Ashford stood at the front, not Jaxon. That confused half the room. Before this continues, Desmond said, loud enough for every phone recording him to catch it. There is something you all deserve to know. Something my son never wanted anyone to know, including her. Brynn's heart stopped. 1 year ago, Desmond continued, my son discovered a young woman's mother was being crushed by a debt collector who does not answer to police or courts or mercy. That collector answered to me. The room went dead silent. Jaxon came to me and asked me to forgive the debt outright. I refused. Old rules. Old family business. So instead, he did something else. Every month, for a year, out of his own accounts, he paid it down himself. Quietly. Anonymously. By the time this contract was written, the debt he showed her was already 10 times smaller than the one that actually existed a year ago. Brynn turned to Jaxon so fast the room blurred. The whole contract, Desmond said. The shopping, the meeting with me, the rushed wedding, none of it was about image. It was the only legal way my son could protect a stranger from a world he couldn't explain to her without putting her in more danger. Marrying into this family was never punishment. It was armor. Brynn stared at Jaxon, the cold, distant man who called her an investment. The man who never once looked at her like a person, only like a project. "You were never protecting the company," she whispered. "You were protecting me. This whole time." "I couldn't tell you," Jaxon said quietly. "The moment you knew, you'd have refused help out of pride, and the debt would have swallowed you whole. I needed you angry at me. Angry was safer than grateful. Angry you'd survive this. Grateful. You might have done something reckless trying to pay me back." Every cold sentence she remembered, investing, upgrade, performance, rearranged itself in her memory into something else entirely. Not cruelty. Camouflage. The reporters outside had come for a scandal. They left with a love story nobody could have predicted, one that made the tabloid headline look small and cheap by comparison. Skylar texted an apology weeks later. Brynn never replied. Some trust, once spent, doesn't come back. Not even with an explanation attached. Her mother kept her house, kept her name clear, never learned how close she'd come to losing everything, and never needed to. Brynn stayed married to a man she once thought only saw her as a number on a page. She learned, slowly, that the coldest people are sometimes just the ones most afraid of being caught caring. She still has the first contract, folded in the back of a drawer. Not as a reminder of what she signed away, as a reminder of what he never let her see he'd already given her. One quiet payment at a time, long before she ever knew his name. She married a stranger to save her mother. She never found out until the wedding that the stranger had been saving her, too, for a year in silence, without asking for anything back.